Texas a massive win, allowing the Lone Star State to use its newly drawn congressional map for next year's midterm elections. This knocks out a previous ruling from a district court which blocked the new map's implementation over claims of racial gerrymandering. The high court ruled 6-3, finding the lower court did not apply the presumption of good faith when considering disputed evidence and did not require challengers to come up with an alternative map. Governor Greg Abbott saying in part, "We won. Texas is officially and legally more red. The new congressional districts better align our representation in Washington, D.C. with the values of our state. This is a victory for Texas voters, for common sense, and for the U.S. Constitution." Democrats are beside themselves on the news. DNC Chair Ken Martin said this, quote, "Once again, the Supreme Court gave Trump exactly what he wanted, a rigged map to help Republicans avoid accountability in the midterms for their turning their backs on the American people, but it will backfire." All right, let's get into it with our panel. Tiana, what do you think this says for Texas, and what does it mean for other states that are pushing for these new redistricting maps?
Pretty clearly, Sam Alito said that you're allowed to do a political gerrymander. Everyone agrees this was a political gerrymander. The question was, is it racial? And the answer was so obviously no. So California will likely get their way. The majority conceded this. But look, Texas is a 40% Hispanic state. This gave Hispanics one new majority district, where now they still only have 20% of majority Hispanic districts. Prior to this map, there were no majority black districts in Texas. This gives black voters a majority in 2 new congressional districts. So all in all, it's really hard to say that this was to ice out voters of color. What they're banking on is the fact that President Trump got 55% support with Texas Hispanics. Now, will this pattern hold nationally? It remains to be seen. Look, Indiana Republicans seem to be balking at the idea of taking up a new map. And as we saw with the Newsom playbook, Democrats are pretty good at squeezing the juice. Yeah. The best thing Republicans can hope for is that there is no more juice to be squeezed because Democratic states are so gerrymandered already. Just look at Illinois.
You're right. And that's what they have been doing for decades, Cheryl.
Exactly. And, you know, glad you brought up the issue of how many states we're looking at right now, because that list, we can pull up that map again if you want. Florida, Indiana, Texas, Virginia, California, Missouri, North Carolina, Utah, Ohio, Maryland, New York. All of this is on the map in 2026. Why is this issue so important right now, though, especially for the Republican Party? Because there are approximately 50 GOP House members that are in districts right now that the president won by 14 points or less last year. And we saw a shift in that Tennessee district on Tuesday, that the 7th congressional district in Tennessee that was won by Van Epps by only 9 points. That was something that a district that Trump won by more than 20 last year. So baking all of this together between redistricting, all the conversations we're having, Maria, on this program about the economy and the state of the consumer, all of that factors in along with where we go with the Supreme Court. Now, where SCOTUS going to finally land on this, we don't know. Kagan's dissent was pretty specific when it came to racial issues, as Tiana mentioned in her commentary. But at the same time, the court could come down before this goes into the books on Texas. The calendar is not anybody's friend right now in the redistricting fight.
Yeah, it's all great points. Okay, this now we know what's happening in Texas. I'm waiting to see what the Supreme Court says on the tariff case. That we're going to see by the end of the year in the next couple of weeks. So we'll see how that goes, whether or not President Trump can use tariffs for an emergency.